Hello Cityscopers, welcome back to our Cityscope studio. This IPL has been really hectic, exciting and unpredictable, and today, me, Samrit and Zikria are going to talk about the review of the different teams and how it all went. So Zikria?
Yeah, so we've had a great IPL season so far. We've had games that have had 2 super overs, we've had some exciting finishes. So we all know that Mumbai Indians has already won the IPL, so it's been quite good. But here we are again to analyze all the teams, all the 8 teams, and we'll be joined by a special guest as well.
Hi guys, I'm Lohit.
Welcome Lohit to the show, it's good to have you buddy. So let's talk about Rajasthan Royals. Honestly, in my opinion, one of my favorite teams to watch this season. They ended 8th place with 12 points. They've had some great games, especially their second game against Punjab. They scored 220 plus and and won the entire thing. I think Samrit knows a lot about that. So anyways, Sanju Samson stood out to me as one of the most valuable players. So definitely a great team to watch. I feel next season they're going to improve on their flaws and they might even qualify for the playoffs. So Lohit, I watched a couple of Rajasthan Royal games with you. What's your opinion about their season?
In my opinion, the best player that I liked, which is also a surprise for many people this IPL season, is Raul Devaria, the all-rounder. Especially the uncapped player came into the limelight, scoring 5 sixes against Sheldon Cotrell's over in the Sharjah Stadium against Kings 11 Punjab. He also scored. He also got 10 wickets in the 14 matches, and his economy of 7.09 shows that he's a very deadly bowler, and who makes it hard for batsmen to score against him.
I think he should be even found in the next team for India, man. Like, he's a really good player. Even though he's one pick, hopefully get picked soon. And if you ask me, right, Jofra Archer should be the best player for Rajasthan Royals. These should be really good, but Jofra Archer, his bouncer, his yorker, his bowling, and his 6 hitting ability, that was something else. I really hope you get retained next time. I get 20 crores sold on the auction.
Yeah, I mean, if Pat Cummins can get sold for 15.5, Jofra Archer can get sold for 20.
So, Chennai Super Kings. This is a franchise that finished at the top 4 every season, but unfortunately their campaign came to an end before the playoffs this time. Personally, Sam Curran stood out for me because he performed really well on both departments, the batting and bowling. He got 13 wickets in 14 matches, and he also scored 186 runs for CSK, which I found very impressive, and I think they will want to hold him for at least another season or so.
Definitely.
So, Zik, what do you think about that?
I mean, CSK had a fantastic performance. I still cannot believe that this is the first IPL season where they did not qualify in the playoffs. I mean, this team has been very consistent. I love the way that Gaikwan played in the last couple of games. Brilliant performance all over. I think he won 3 to 4 man of the matches in a row. So even though they didn't have a great season in the beginning, they ended the season with a bang. They won against top teams like RCB. I love the way in their final match they were able to go home and bring Punjab with them. So I mean, Samrit, how do you feel about CSK this season?
I think CSK missed a trick. Like, they didn't play the key players, especially young ones. Like Kedar Jadhav, yeah, he's a good player, but he didn't perform at all. And the main flop I felt, it was basically MS Dhoni. He didn't perform a single match. He didn't hit that many boundaries. He did lead the team pretty well, but didn't perform as we expected.
I mean, I'm happy this is not his last IPL. I mean, he said he's definitely not retiring, so maybe next season he might score 100 runs. You never know. You can never not count on MS Dhoni.
100 runs in the whole season or just one match?
I mean, let's see.
6th place, Kings 11 Punjab, definitely my favorite team. Definitely a really disappointing season, even they won 4 matches in the streak, right? But they lost the last 2 matches, as we talked about how CSK beat us in the final. So it wasn't really a bad season, but I feel like there's some changes they have to make. K. Rahul, captain, great leader, great scorer, got the orange cap, definitely a player. However, I think Glenn Maxwell shouldn't be in the team at all.
Definitely not.
Very expensive. He didn't perform well. He opened some of the games. He didn't be economical. Definitely not. So what do you guys think about Kings 11 Punjab, man?
Like you said, you know, KL Rahul showed his brilliant captaincy skills this season, even though they started with losing 6 of their first 7 matches. I think the COVID-19 pandemic break might have affected his performance a little bit. But the wicketkeeper batsman was definitely in his top form in the starting of the first season. He scored, I think, 670 runs in 14 matches, and he could have gone way past the 700 run mark this IPL season, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, like, Punjab was one of my favorite teams to watch, even though I make fun of them. Sorry, all my Punjabi fans. But like, despite all of this, especially when they used to bat, I enjoyed watching them bat. Especially how KL Rahul was able to turn those 6 losses into victories. Like how they came back in the tournament. They almost got into the playoffs, but they didn't. But still, all the effort was there. Ending 6th place is something like I wouldn't have thought of. I thought they would end up in 8th place. Next season, I feel they shouldn't bench Gale. They should keep him. If Gale was there earlier, maybe the Gale storm would have hit and they would have qualified in the playoffs. You never know. Alright, so speaking about KKR, what a season they've had. I know one of Cityscope's favorite, Sahil's favorite team is KKR, but they didn't make it, unfortunately, because of Sunrisers. But I seriously enjoyed watching some of their games. I was first to criticize Pat Cummins when I saw he was like sold for 15.5 crores. I was like, it's not worth it. But definitely in the last game where they played against Rajasthan Royals and how they destroyed their batting lineup thanks to Pat Cummins, definitely hats off. He's definitely earned his price tag. So, Samrit, I know like KKR and Punjab have had that Veer-Zara connection. What is your opinion about KKR?
I think they're a really good team, but the way they have a draw between Dinesh Karthik and Eo Morgan kind of disrupt the whole team structure because there's a lot of pressure, right? And I feel like Shubman Gill has solidified his opening. He's going to be playing for India team really soon. And definitely Nitish Rana, he surprised everyone, even though he got one duck in the matches, but he performed really, really well. He scored a lot of runs. Definitely for the next season, these players should be retained, and hopefully no more captain fuzz, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think?
In my opinion, like you said, you know, Ian Morgan, his captaincy, I think it was a very bad decision. Dinesh Karthik, DK, he led the team in the first half of the season, and then he wanted to focus on his batting, so he handed his reins over to the English teammate.
Right.
But I think the poor captaincy with a little bit of new tricks they were trying out in the match kind of made sure that the net run rate is very low, and then they couldn't qualify for the playoffs at all.
So now let's get to the 4th place team, RCB. But first of all, let's have a moment of silence for all the RCB fans. So basically, RCB performed really well. They have a bunch of star players, but again they have missed a trick. Again they missed a trophy. Again they missed a final. So Zik, tell us about it, man.
I still think they did a great performance. ABD Villers was the player that stood out for me the most. The way he saved the team multiple times, he saved them out of a bad situation on many occasions, more than one. So I feel every year RCB fans want RCB to win, but I think definitely next year there might be a good chance. You never know. So, Lohit, what do you think about
Like
RCB?
you guys said, definitely RCB was one of the favorites this year to win the IPL Championship trophy, right? And their bowling attack also looked quite strong with Chris Morris's presence on the other side adding a nice balanced touch. However, they crashed out of the tournament with their 5-game losing streak. AB de Villiers, of course, pulled them out in a lot of times, especially in the close match against Rajasthan Royals. Overall, he scored 454 runs this season in the 14 matches, but I believe he wasn't being backed up by any other batsman in the team. And if there was a proper balance and if they weren't trying to experiment every different game, trying to go with the same form, they have very good batsmen. Devdutt Padikkal, the new player, they have some good bowlers as well, but if they had stuck to a format or found what fits them best and try to stay with it, I think they definitely had a chance to get up there this year.
But definitely Navdeep signing again solidifies stance in India team. You know, like his bowling is far, he's performed really well. I really hope they come out at Padikkal. I hope he gets his first match for India team.
I think he definitely will sooner rather than later. Let's see.
Hopefully.
So Sunrisers this year, I think they came as a surprise to everyone when they made it to playoffs, and I was particularly interested in their bowling, which was quite good as well, especially Rashid Khan. He made a huge impact for them in IPL 2020, and they expected him to do so because primary reason was that he played a lot of matches in the UAE before, so they hoped to bank on his experience, and he was also their most successful bowler, though he did live up to that expectation.
I think the best move was first of all kicking out RCB. It was a really nice scenario, but second main point, jokes apart, it was Saha, like how they promoted in the opening. Even though he got injured in the playoff, they couldn't get into the finals, but the way he played that 2 matches for as an opener had actually defied all the odds, and he helped Sunriser to get into the playoffs. It was really surprising.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I want to hear, man.
I mean, even though Saha brought them to the playoffs, it's a shame he wasn't able to play in those semi-finals.
Right.
Even though if he played against RCB, he probably would have scored a gazillion runs and probably knocked them out anyway. But despite that, one of my favorite players in SRH was definitely Kane Williamson. The way he plays, he shows the experience, especially even against Delhi Capitals. He tried to stay there till the end. As soon as he went out, a lot of Sunrise Hyderabad's fans, like, all their hearts broke. They were like, oh, we definitely lost now. But Kane Williamson is definitely a guy that even the captain can bank on. So that's one of my favorite players right now. Alright, so Delhi Capitals coming in second place. What a fantastic tournament they've had. What a fantastic season they've had. I've really enjoyed watching them play. I really enjoyed how they first started in the tournament. They were so good. They were winning all their games. They were dominating their oppositions. Towards the middle, they had a little bit of a slump, but they came back, qualified for the playoffs. But then they weren't able to convert that final position into a win. Shame to see, but still, I saw a lot of great performances in the team, especially Shekhar Dhawan. How he's not scored in a century in IPL, and how he was able to hit 2 back-to-back hundreds. That's really great. So what's your opinion about Delhi Capitals this season?
I think Captain Shira had done a great job. Like, I personally met him once. I partied with that guy. Great human being, great player. He performed really well. He picked the players right.
Yeah.
Even though there was a slump in the middle, they came back strongly. They came to the finals. So I think it's really good to see how youngsters are stepping up, especially for an Indian team.
Yeah.
So let's see what happens next time. I really hope they win this time. What do you think?
The trend is that every leap year, it's usually a new champion that comes up, and being the finals being Mumbai Indians and DC, I really thought that DC will make it to the final, win obviously, like especially with their performance this entire season. But I think it was a big gamble to open with Marcus Stoinis. It might have worked in the past against their game in SRH, but it didn't work in their final match, especially because it's a high pressure game, and the other side was, you know, pushing in Trent Bolt and also Bumrah. They used them really well this season. So DC shouldn't have taken this gamble, and I think they should have just gone with their regular opener, Ajinkya Rahane, because he's very used to the he's used to opening, and he's a regular opener for DC. But this final gamble cost them the championship this year.
But definitely Rabada, we can't miss out Rabada. Great performer. He actually beat Bumrah to become purple cap holder. Really good to see. I really hope they retain him for next season. And let's see what happens.
So here we are at the last part of our IPL review. Mumbai Indians, the reigning champions, 5th time IPL winners. Usually they win in years that end with odd numbers, but this year again they managed to take the cup home. To me, it didn't come as a surprise that much, especially in their bowling and batting order. Jasprit Bumrah and Trent Bolt particularly, I think, did very well. Bumrah, he managed to break the record for the highest wicket taken by an Indian bowler in a single season. He managed to replace Bhuvneshwar Kumar by taking 27 wickets this season. And Mumbai Indians, I think, used him and Trent Bolt very well, made sure the batsmen on the opposition team were always on their feet. They couldn't predict what was happening and made it hard for them to keep scoring against their bowling order.
Yeah, and Mumbai Indians is definitely one of the strongest teams. Not surprised to see them win. Especially they can afford their star performers like Rohit Sharma not to perform well, because he's backed up by a whole team of big hitters, big bowlers, so many like great players. But like if a different team like RCB, if their star players don't perform, they lose the game. So Mumbai Indians, great team. They deserve this victory. The better team won. Let's see how they perform next season. I'm pretty sure they're going to win again, maybe, but you never know. So Samrit, what's your opinion about
I think
Mumbai Indians?
This year Mumbai Indians, as usual, they're the winners. Ishan Kishan, the most sixers he had hit in like over the years, and I feel like what makes them such a successful team is because of how they have the same teammates. For the additions, right? Karan Pollard, Pandya brothers, Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah. Even Jasprit was a find from Mumbai Indians. So I think that's what makes teams so successful, and this franchise is always going to surprise people. But I really want to see a new player, like new winner as well.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for following Cityscope during the IPL coverage. It was good to have you guys, good to engage with some of the fans as well, see which teams win, some teams lose as well. So yeah, thanks for joining us again. So me, Samrit here, Hope to see you guys next season, and we'll be having special guests like Lohit, Sahil, and a lot of other guests as well. So see you guys in the next season. Peace.